is Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, a courtship of rivals basketball reaction video.
What's up, YouTube? It's Tired Night, Toon Tide's Life. I'm about to be reacting to the video you guys all been waiting for. It's called Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, a courtship of rivals basketball. So this video is 1 hour and 27 minutes. Sheesh. Let's see. I think I'm gonna do 2 parts to this. I know you guys don't like 2 parts, but I really gotta see if the audio and everything's working well, because this is my setup. Like, I have never done a hour-long video. I might go through a whole video and the audio's not working, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I need to be able to watch the video through in the halfway point, and then if there's not a lot of mess ups, then I could deal with that, and then if there's no mess ups, that's perfect. And then just move on to the second half, and then post the second half, and then see how smooth that goes. But yeah, I've never done an 1 hour and 30-minute video. This is a whole movie, so I've never reacted to a whole movie before. I have watched this before when I was a kid. Yeah, so I already know about this documentary. This is how I learned about most of the stuff. Is like NBA TV. This is how I learned about Magic and Bird, with the courtship, rivalry documentary, the Dream Team documentary, the Hardwood Classics, yeah, all of that. So all the stuff that I've learned, and then everything that I've gained from learning from Larry Bird and all the stuff that he's done, it's all from highlights, documentaries, and we're actually watching full games, the archives of the games that the NBA be playing over and over again on NBA TV Canada. Because well, I didn't tell you guys this, but I live in Toronto, so you guys didn't know that. Fun fact, I am from Toronto, so yeah, it's NBA Canada over here, Hardwood Classics. So we're about to get into the video. This video is pretty long, so I'm probably gonna do 2 parts, 2 or 3. Probably gonna try to cut down to 2. 3's kind of OD, but yeah, I'm about to get into this. Like, comment, subscribe. Oh gosh, please let the Wi-Fi work. Please let the Wi-Fi work. Please, pretty
legacies. But on that night, March 26, 1979.
Hey, hold up. Let's start at 2 minutes. What are we doing here?
They talk about it every day, somewhere. If I go to a foreign country, magic, we're magic. It's the same everywhere.
Yo, I love this documentary. This is so nostalgic. It's crazy. It's about to be a fire video, man. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
We don't have to see.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't have to say hello. We don't have to call each other.
That's my main competition. It's always been like that.
You know you got this tight bond with this cat, and you don't have to see him for a year or 2. But you're always going to be linked to him.
We got this connection that's never going to be broken. I mean, right to our graves. They'll be talking about this 100 years from now.
That's true. I mean, I am reacting to this right now. So fire. Just crazy.
It all began here in Salt Lake City, Utah, on the night of March 26, 1979. It was the NCAA championship. Indiana State versus Michigan State. A game that still ranks as the highest-rated college final ever on television. A game that's now remembered as a prologue to a rivalry that transformed a sport and intertwined two legacies.
Biggest rivalry of all time.
But on that night, March 26, 1979, the first time Magic Johnson and Larry Bird ever went head-to-head on a basketball court, they were simply two young men trying to win a very big ball game.
Well, this is probably the biggest game I'll ever play in my life, and I just feel like, you know, I'm representing not only myself, my team, but we're representing our school and our town, Terre Haute.
Well, it's a dream come true, really, for me. I won the state title back in my home state, and then my next accomplishment was going to the NCAA and playing in a game like tonight in the finals.
They were two stars thrown together by the cosmos to compete. But only one of them had been groomed for the spotlight. In his case, it seemed since birth.
I think his upbringing in East Lansing really put that smile on his face in the beginning, and it never came off.
Born August 14, 1959, Irvin Johnson grew up in Lansing, the gritty industrial capital city of Michigan. Raised under this little roof, he was one of Christine and Irvin Johnson Sr.'s 10 kids. Christine was a school custodian, while Irvin Sr. worked two jobs nearly around the clock.
My father, he got up early every morning, 6 o'clock or so, and he went to work on his trash hauling truck every single day. Around noon, he would come home, catch a nap, and then he worked for General Motors for 30 years. And he won an award for never being late and never missed a day.
As a youngster, Irvin displayed his own strong work ethic on the blacktop.
That work ethic.
I was out there all day long. Before we went to school, the bus leave at 7:30. I was out there at 6:30 working on my game. My mother sometimes had to bring me food, or she would have one of my brothers and sisters go get that boy so he could eat something.
From a very young age, Irvin knew what he wanted to do. He had it all planned out.
My dreams were to play in the NBA and become a businessman.
The first neighborhood basketball powerhouse, Sexton High.
I knew the players, I knew the tradition. I wanted to be a part of that. And it was on the west side of town, which was, at that time, predominantly black.
But when Lansing, like many cities in the mid-70s, began busing to desegregate its school system, Irvin's journey took an unexpected detour to a predominantly white school across town.
My first day at Everett High School was my first time I really had to understand there was a race problem. Nobody white would speak to anybody black, and nobody black would speak to anybody white.
A lot of racial tension, a lot of fights, rioting. They didn't want minorities there.
He kind of shrugged it off, and basically his attitude was, okay, well, I'll overcome this.
Whenever there was any racial problems, the principal would get Irvin and go talk to these kids. I can just see him with his big hands. Calm down, just calm down. He'd break up fights.
Talk with his friends, tell him, let it go. We can't fight about everything. Let's just chill. Let's play basketball.
And there was no dispute over Irvin Johnson's ability to play ball. His talent was so great that soon after his varsity debut, a local reporter, dazzled by his exploits, gave the budding star a nickname.
In the beginning, I thought it was foolish and dumb. I didn't know nothing about a nickname. Then what happened was, you start saying, wait a minute, it fits my game. Hanging out with my boys on the street corners, we used to sing Temptation songs. They started saying, hey man, Magic, that's cool. And then people on the street start saying, hey Magic. And I said,
That's gonna stick. Feel me? That's gonna stick.
He bought into it, and I think he felt he had to kind of live up to that name. And
hey, won't you come on by? And I said, what's a kegger? So he said, well, what it is, we get this big keg of beer, and you just go for it. Okay. Well, what time does the kegger start? Because regular party time in our neighborhood is 10, 11 o'clock. The kegger starts at 7. I said, The party starts at 7 o'clock? And I said, okay, man, I'm going to come to the kegger. We had a good time. The music was kind of bad, but we had a good time, you know.
His senior year, Johnson did it what he had planned to do at Sexton, win the state championship. And when it came to choosing a college, he decided to stay where the love would be assured, home in Lansing.
Next year, I will be attending Michigan State University.
At MSU, Magic's star quickly went national. But atop the college game, he soon discovered a certain presence beside him.
The first time I saw Larry Bird was actually in a magazine. Saw his stats, blown away by his stats. But let's see if he can really do it against us. And that's always a mindset of black players if he's a great white player.
In 1978, after his freshman year, Magic would quickly find out, when both he and Bird were chosen to play for Team USA in the World Invitational Tournament.
They would put Larry Bird and I on the same team together to scrimmage, right? It was blowing my mind because he's dominating Jack Givens, Player of the Year in college basketball. Larry Bird is eating him alive. I couldn't wait to call home and tell my boys, this dude named Larry Bird is for real. This is the baddest white dude I've ever seen in my life.
Sheesh. Well, I thought he was very good. There's no question about it. I thought he's probably the best guard on the team.
Irvin Johnson, look at that.
That
we didn't get to play a lot.
Filthy.
You could tell.
I think our first game was in Kentucky. We got about a 10, 12-point lead. Man, they put us in. Went to 25, 30, just that fast.
Fast break again, 3-on-2. Griffith. And that's steal.
Yo, his defense too.
Take us out.
Oh my gosh.
The league go back down, put us back in.
That's third.
Yo,
the show started.
Crazy.
When you play with Magic, there's just something about it. You want to make that extra pass. You want to get that rebound and start to break.
Outlet pass. Oh my gosh.
We came down a couple times. I go behind my back, no look to him. He no look back to me. And I'm laying it up. I'm saying, oh man.
Magic and Bird.
Last play. Magic Johnson going in.
No look.
Drops off the Bird. Bird
no look.
Back off. Inside to Johnson.
Crazy.
This guy got game.
They both got
they
game.
had some wonderful moments on the court, but they probably spoke to each other 4, maybe 5 times during that entire time period, and it was more like, hello, how are you this morning, Larry? I'm good, Magic. What'd you have for breakfast? Don't remember. Have a nice day.
But such curtness was hardly strange coming from Larry Bird, who was not only one of college basketball's best players, but also its biggest enigma.
I think he was a mystery to the extent that he wanted to be a mystery. He didn't enjoy doing interviews. He didn't go out of his way to do them. He wasn't particularly good at them. He was kind of like, hey, this is who I am. You want to know who I am? Watch the game. That's who I am.
I start to read materials that you're very quiet and you don't enjoy talking to newspaper people.
Well, there's different kind of newspaper people. There's people that try to push you. There's people try to get things out of you. Things don't even pertain to basketball, and them are the type of people I like to stay away from.
He didn't want people talking about his family. He didn't want his mother to have to deal with that or his siblings to have to deal with that.
You got to remember where Larry came from. Larry was raised in a 2 or 3 room house on a railroad track. Their family probably lived on $50 a week. He was raised tough.
Larry Joe Bird grew up in southern Indiana, twin towns of French Lick and West Baden. The Valley, as locals call it, was a tough working-class area. Tiny and remote, it was one of the poorest places in the state.
Telling you, tough times.
I didn't know that people made millions of dollars. I didn't know that everybody had a family car. I was in my own cocoon. I was in a small town with the people I knew, and I thought I'd live there for the rest of my life.
Arriving Pearl Harbor Day 1956, Larry was the 4th of 6 kids born to Georgia and Joe Bird. Early on, he and his older brothers earned a reputation around the Valley.
We were always considered troublemakers. We're either fighting amongst ourselves or there was always one of us fighting somebody. Larry was always one that kind of instigated things,
If I get my brother in a fight with somebody his age, I was happy as hell because I like to see him get beat up, and that's just the way it was. If I got in a scrape with some kid and my brothers didn't come to my side, they knew that when he got home, my dad was going to whip him.
Larry and my dad were best of friends. They done everything together. When my dad would go out to my grandma's house, Larry would always go with him. They'd go fishing, do a lot of things together.
But Joe Bird also had a darker side, stemming from a traumatic tour of duty in Korea.
Larry remembers waking up in the middle of the night hearing his father's blood-curdling screams from the nightmares he had had from the war. What happened to his father in the war affected his entire life. He was never able to quite get rid of whatever those demons were.
A talented craftsman, Joe Bird struggled to hold steady jobs. And even when he was working, his demons would, on occasion, drive him to the bottle.
There were times when Joe went out with the guys and had a few beers and the wages didn't come home that night. And that didn't happen every day. It happened once in a while, but when money is as tight as it was for the Birds, once in a while was a major problem for their family.
My mom sometimes worked late and sometimes she had 2 jobs, but that's the way it was. I worked at school during my lunch hours, worked at the local grocery store, put up hay in the summer. I mean, if you wanted money, you had to get it on your own.
To young Larry, actions spoke louder than words.
He was very quiet, kind of hung to himself a little bit.
I saw Larry take an F in an English class because he had to get up in front of his peers and give a speech. So I won't do it. But he just could not get up in front of his friends and talk. He was that shy.
Of course, next thing you know, when he knew it was time for all of us together at the gymnasium, well, there he'd be. The minute he'd get a basketball in his hand, things were totally different.
Basketball was just, it came to me, seemed like easy. I didn't have the quickness, I didn't have jumping ability. I just thought the game out.
Yeah, the skill,
By his senior year at Springs Valley High,
toughness.
Larry Bird had sprouted into a star.
Had the IQ.
But Bird was from the Valley, hardly a hotbed of talent in the big-time world of Indiana hoops.
The first thing they say, well, they don't play nobody down there. He's from French Lick. They don't play nobody.
I think that put a chip on his shoulder, always having to prove who he was and how good he was.
He was good enough for Indiana University's Bobby Knight to come calling late his senior year. And folks in the Valley couldn't have been prouder. Their local hero was heading 60 miles north to play ball for one of the best college teams in the land.
Once I got to IU, it didn't take long to realize that I was out of my cocoon. I had over 30-some thousand students. That I didn't have the funds. First week and a half, I thought, man, this ain't gonna work.
He left after 24 days.
Let my mother down. She didn't talk to me for 2 months. But it didn't matter what other people said. To this day, I don't care.
Back in French Lick, Bird took to working for the city, hauling trash and painting park benches. Meanwhile, by that winter, his father's demons had taken him to an even darker place.
By this point, Joe and Georgia were divorced, and he was behind in his payments to the family. The police came by, and of course they all knew him. So Joe said, hey, I need a few hours to get my affairs together before you take me away. So he called Georgia and he said, you guys will be better off without me, and I'm gonna take my life. And he put the phone down and he killed himself. He shot himself.
Forgot about this.
When Dad passed, you know, it hurt Larry. I mean, that was his best friend. It's gone now. But Larry didn't show it a lot.
He just didn't say much. You know, he just kind of held it within. I've never heard him speak out about it at all.
It's sad.
I was mad when I heard about
That was his best friend.
And I was madder after the funeral because I thought he sort of cut out on us during a tough time. But you know, he went through a lot in his life. He did what he had to do.
If Bill Hodges hadn't been as persistent as he had been, Larry Bird might never have existed in any of our minds. I believe that with all my heart. I really do.
It was Bill Hodges, a young coach from Indiana State University, who convinced Bird to give college hoops another shot. So with a promise to his mom to graduate, Bird headed to Terre Haute and ISU, a school that never so much had been to the NCAA tournament.
Once I started playing, it's the same old thing. You know, he's at a small school and he ain't playing against anybody, which is fine. Still dominated.
Wherever Hoosiers gather, they no longer talk of whether Indiana has a new state bird. Now his claim to fame is just the way he plays the game. Indiana has a new state bird. It's not the Cardinal now. Hey Larry, take a bow. Indiana has a new state bird.
By the time he had led tiny ISU as a senior to a 33-0 record and a spot in the '79 title game, Larry Bird had become, alongside Magic Johnson, the talk of college basketball. Just a year after sharing the court on Team USA, they were back together. And the day before the big game, Magic couldn't wait to greet his old playmate.
Indiana State was on practicing, and we were waiting in the tunnel. We got there early. I wanted to definitely say hello to Larry, you know. When they came through, it was like nobody would say nothing.
I'm not going to say nothing.
I wanted to go toward him.
Nope.
Like his guys, like, made sure that he didn't say nothing. And then they kind of started snickering, like, Michigan State, you in trouble. We're going to kill you guys tomorrow.
I probably did snub him. I don't remember it, but I'm sure I did. I didn't want any, you know, like I call it love fest, hugging and slapping high fives with opponent. You're there for a reason. You're there to win a game.
Yeah.
That just said it's on now.
It is Indiana State against Michigan State. I'm Bryant Gumbel, and the fans here are going bananas.
I mean, let's face it, if Larry Bird were black and came from Chicago, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. They were polar opposites. One
Polar
black,
opposites,
one
for
white,
sure.
one outgoing, one shy. That was the charm of the attraction.
Yeah, but
The
both
Bird
can play.
against Magic. All of the superlatives
Both
have been
can play the
used,
game of
and believe
basketball
me,
at a
all
high
of them
level.
have been warranted.
And that's an understatement.
Heading into the tournament, Magic was the bigger star. But by tip-off, it was Bird, having hardly missed a shot in the semifinal, who would become the focus of fans and, more important,
Bird don't miss much.
of Michigan State.
We actually had two men on Larry everywhere he went.
Yeah, you better double team him.
There he is, Dick. Look at they have him sandwiched in completely.
I'm surprised they didn't play a box on one. You know, 4 guys on Larry and 1 on the other 4.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because they didn't have a lot of
Disrespect to the
talent.
other teammates.
You know, if you stop Larry, you pretty much stop them.
Look at the pressure around him. 2-3 men. And
Oh,
he's scoring.
gosh.
I didn't play well at all. Biggest game of my life, I didn't play well.
He's probably not used to, like,
our length
triple teams on
and our
him.
size, our jumping ability was able to bother him.
Yeah, obviously, if you're not playing against good competition, and then you play against that, it's gonna shock you a bit.
I think 3 free throws.
That's why Larry Bird is Larry Bird today. Like,
Larry Bird
you have to
has
go
had a
through
cold,
hard
chilly
times to be the best player you can
I
possibly
battled
be.
him, but I didn't have it.
God doesn't put you through struggles if you can't handle it. You have to go through that to be Larry Bird, Larry Legend.
1979.
I know that won't hurt.
Not only were you leader on
He held
offense,
that
I
to
thought
his
you did a
heart.
great job on Larry
Took
Bird
that with
in the
him.
zone, denying him the ball.
Yes,
Became one of the best players of all
gave
time.
us a good game plan to go against Larry Bird, and all we had to do was go out and do it. That's what we done.
And congratulations, Super Bowl game.
Yeah,
It
he
was over,
hurt,
you know.
for sure.
That was my 4 years. I was done. No, it still hurts. And when you win 33 in a row and you walk into the game, you know, you never know what to expect. But
33 in a row is crazy.
I expect to win. We didn't win.
I know that one hurt. He went all
Toughest
year.
loss I ever took.
I knew it was going to haunt him forever because we were going to see each other a lot.
The National Basketball Association, in its 33rd season, is troubled by diminishing crowds and declining television ratings, signs that fan
Magic.
interest may be waning.
Until
If
Magic
college
and Larry
basketball
Bird
was flourishing at the end of the 1970s,
skyrocketed.
the pro game was crumbling. After the golden era of Bill Russell and Jerry West in the 1960s, a merger with the ABA in 1976 had led not only to new teams, but a new temperament.
It was a new league with new times, with renegades,
Dawkins about
with
to
individuals.
give him that left hook.
There was an argument made, plausibly, I think, that it was too black a league for the United States of America in the late 1970s.
You think about the Knickerbockers at the time. The running joke was it was the Knickerbockers. You know, that's what it was. It was the N-word.
It's turning off a lot of white customers that are coming to the game, you know.
Why?
I think there's a conflict between the white and the black, and I don't enjoy going to basketball and seeing all black players.
I mean, I think when they said too black, they meant
if they're good enough,
not just
they're good
in terms
enough.
of color,
What's your
but
problem,
in terms
bro?
of style.
It's crazy.
Let me get mine.
Ace Man.
And the hell with you.
That bad was tough.
Basketball for us was about the best moves.
that
You
Robinson?
wanted to be that big player that everybody talked about. You wanted to be the one. You didn't think about winning championships or team play.
And those were just the issues on the court.
The NBA had this image of an all-black league with a bunch of guys who did drugs. The teams were losing money,
man.
and they had no sponsors. And that's pretty much a death knell right there.
They
It's a known fact that
actually
you need
happened?
your white superstars. You just need more white ball players on the team for the white fans to identify with.
Actually doing drugs, or just
And in the
because they're
newest
black?
member of the Boston Celtics, that's exactly what the league appeared to be getting.
There's hope he can help solve professional basketball's difficulties, which some say are compounded by a question of black and white.
The Great White Hope. What does that mean?
Well, you know, it's very hard to say because there's a lot of great white players around, and I just hope that I can just fit in as well as some of them that has fit in.
He ran away from that designation. He made it very clear, almost from day one, that he was not the Great White Hope.
You know, the great players are the black players, and they're the best.
Such deference meant little to black Celtics like Curtis Rowe, Sidney Wicks, and Cedric Maxwell, who looked at Bird and saw not the Great White Hope, but another case of Great White hype.
He didn't impress me no more than any white guy I've ever seen play before. I think that you would
Until
say
you got
that
on the
most
court with
black
him.
players at the time were racist, in the sense that we did not think that you could find a white guy who could play better than any black guy.
When I walk in the first day of camp, them guys were on the floor stretching, and
So you
here
met
comes the
Larry
white
Bird.
savior, here comes this, here comes that. I sort of enjoyed it because I knew I was going to battle them all day. But Curtis and Sidney didn't last long. They didn't even make it through the first practice, and they were cut. So then it was just Cedric.
I'm thinking, oh, he's slow, he can't get off a shot. He's not that strong. This is gonna be a layup. Bam, knocks down the jump shot. Okay, maybe that was luck. Gets the ball again. Bam, knocks down another jump shot. Now I'm thinking like, okay, hey, you know what? I'm gonna D this guy up. I'm gonna show him his life. 20 feet away, bam. 25 feet away, bam. My mind just goes to the, damn, this white guy can play.
It was a good thing, too. The storied Celtics might have been the winningest team in NBA history, but they were fresh off their worst season in 30 years. And in Bird, they had a player who was not only supremely talented, but tough enough to take on any challenge.
You know, I always played like everybody in the world was
Come on,
against
Julius.
me. I thought everybody was against me. I used to
Okay,
think
wow,
up
this
things to
is-
get me rattled before a game.
He knew how to fight. I know that from off the floor.
Yeah, he's tough as nails.
One night, somebody was giving one of his buddies a hard time, and Larry went over and, said, hey, this is my friend, and this guy was a pretty good-sized guy. By golly, they go out back, and the guy turns and says something to Larry, and Larry hit this guy, and I caught him. Hit him so hard, I go, whoa. He was from the old school, and that's how he played.
Larry Bird plays it to the hilt, baby.
Played the game hard. Played rough.
There was no frills about him. He came in, he threw elbows. There was nothing smooth about Larry.
He worked hard.
New Englanders like that. They're hardworking people. They like that that's how people view them, and that's what Larry was.
Larry Bird.
That was so tough. I love that move.
They also like winners. And when Bird led the Celtics to the NBA championship in just his second season, he was finally one of those
reverse.
two.
Finesse.
Boston loved Larry Bird. It just wasn't so clear at first how much Bird loved the city back.
There's only one place I'd rather be, French Lick. Thank you.
Dang.
Man, Larry was almost agoraphobic in his treatment of anything outside his hometown.
He wanted to be the Wizard of Oz. He wanted to intimidate people and keep them at bay. The further we are away from each other, the more I like it.
I had a nice little house. I had my little yard. I want to go from there to practice back. If we had a game coming up, I want to go there to the game and back home. It was all basketball. My whole life was basketball.
If he was just sitting there with just me, you were looking around mumbling, trying to find things that we had in common that we could talk about. Now, we started talking about basketball, started talking about players. It was, it was great. U.S. history? No.
We forced passes, we made errors down the stretch.
Daily events? No.
I made the shot, and from then on we was up by 2, and they had to get back in the game, which they did.
Politics? No.
Try to not do anything I can't do or do no more than what I can do. I just go out and try to do my basic game.
He proudly dubbed himself the Hick from French Lick, and he looked every bit the part. But those who played him for simple did so at their own peril.
One of the great ways, I think, of winding up with no money in your pocket is to think Larry Bird is dumb. Syntax is not intelligence. Unlettered is not stupid.
He's got a great sense of humor. He just didn't show that to people. That didn't mean he didn't have it.
He did, however, allow the public one small indulgence.
Kawhi's funny, but
you could come out on Saturday and watch him mow his lawn.
Very similar.
Huge crowds
with
to stop.
Bird.
Larry Bird's cutting grass in front of his house. It's like, he's mowing his lawn in the springtime.
Larry is about doing things himself. And I think it's one of the things that made him so beloved in Boston.
But as Bird navigated through his new world, he still had one eye fixed on a familiar foe in a faraway land.
That boy Magic.
What tripped me out was I'm riding.
This is so nostalgic, you guys don't even understand.
I'm seeing orange trees and lemon trees in people's front yards. I said, stop, I gotta go pick an orange. Are you crazy? I said, no, I gotta do this. And so I ran up like a scared little kid, grabbed the orange and ran back to the lemon. I'd never seen an orange tree. I'd never seen a lemon tree. I was fascinated.
When 20-year-old Irvin Johnson arrived in Los Angeles in the fall of 1979, he was a world away from Lansing, the only home he'd ever known. He was the #1 pick of the LA Lakers, a once dominant franchise stuck in mediocrity. In the stoic Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Lakers had talent, was energy. Irvin Magic Johnson was only too happy to provide it.
Lit the place up. Changed the franchise, changed the temperament. I changed it from the very first game.
Skyhook up and good. Lakers win.
Here it was, the first game of a long season against the lowly Clippers. And Magic was embracing Kareem as if they'd just won their 10th straight championship. It was like, man, this is a different kind of dude.
From the day he arrived, he became the prince of the city. He reminded me of a guy who wakes up without an alarm clock. And that's what I used to always say. I want to be happy enough to wake up without an alarm clock because I want to go into my world.
He had it, what it is. As far as I was concerned, the it was not his ability or his size. The it was his attitude, was his leadership, was his mind. I mean, I don't have to talk about Game 6 at Philadelphia.
Magic Johnson will jump.
In his rookie season, Magic had helped lead the Lakers to the NBA Finals against the Philadelphia 76ers. In Game 6, with an injured Abdul-Jabbar back home in LA, Magic played all 5 positions, scored 42 points, grabbed 15 rebounds, and dished out 7 assists. leading the Lakers to the
That
championship.
boy can pass.
In just 4 years, he had won titles in high school, college, and the pros.
Magic, what do you have that makes you perform like this in these championship games?
Well, I don't know. Just I love to win.
Across the masthead of the Los Angeles Times the next day, it said, "It's Magic."
He was a star when he first arrived here, coming off the NC2A game. And quickly, during that first season, he became one of the stars in town. But that game put him on another level. That made him the star in town.
That boy in Hollywood.
It's funny how I wanted to meet the celebrities, but they wanted to meet me. I was like shocked. Like, wow, you know who I am?
He was young, famous, and after Lakers owner Jerry Buss signed him to a 25-year, $25 million contract, very rich. The kid from Lansing was ready to sample a different kind of fruit.
25 mil contract.
His playboy boss knew all the ripest trees.
That's $1 mil a year.
I said, oh, I'm hanging with him.
Nothing compared
when they
to,
were coming
to
into the
contracts
box,
today.
and he had 10, 20 of them, and look, Irvin,
like,
which one you want? And I was like, oh, okay, it's like that.
25 mil.
And then he said, I'm going to take you to the Playboy Mansion. What? The mansion? No, you're kidding. I said, yep. So I went there, and my first time, I'm backing up.
You had too much access to all this stuff.
But I'm backing up away. You know, it's like, I'm scared to death. Probably 10 guys to 100 women, you know.
Especially young.
Everybody think it's sex
not young,
but it's really not. You
crazy.
You have dinner, then you watch the latest movie. And then, of course, I don't want to ever say that sex wasn't involved, because if you meet somebody, that's what you wanted to do. You did that, but it's really a great experience to go up there. So yeah, I had fun there.
He came to L.A. like the Pied Piper. You know, people were giving him this and giving him that, but he stayed pretty grounded to the game.
Everybody was getting high then, but you can't even smoke a joint.
Too much information
around Magic.
He had real old school, down in the trenches work ethic. And that was honed in him by his dad, Irvin Johnson Sr.
Magic was always this guy. He never did none of that, so I did everything for him.
Magic Johnson was living on a natural high. He was starring in the role of a lifetime, point guard of a Hollywood team with an offense called Showtime. He even had the older ego
Magic pass the ball all
for the
day.
production.
I mean, Magic was his stage name. Even he would laugh about it.
Well, he always says there's two people. There's Irvin Johnson from East Lansing, and there's Magic Johnson from Hollywood.
Irvin Johnson is another guy. Here's Magic over here and here's Irvin over here.
Irvin is this fun-loving guy. Magic was so serious and dedicated to his game, and he was a crazy, crazy competitor and a crazy man.
Irvin, I think, is the smiling kid from Lansing. I think Irvin died about 25 minutes after the NCAA championship game.
Irvin doesn't have the ego that Magic has. Magic got a crazy ego, and winning is everything.
And Irvin wanted to, along with Magic, conquer LA.
After having led the Lakers to 2 NBA titles in their first 4 years in town, Magic and Irvin were well on their way.
I think Magic wanted to be friends with Larry Bird. He wanted to be friends with him on the World Invitational Tournament, and Larry just wasn't very receptive. I think he wanted to be friends with him during the Final Four. Larry wouldn't even go over and shake his hand. So now Magic's saying, well, what's with this guy? Everybody loves me. How come you don't love me? And then they get to their rookie year, the first time they play each other. Well, they have a very hard foul.
Why are you fouling like that? That's crazy.
And they have to be separated a little bit.
Bird is not
and Magic's
playing.
like, all right, well, the heck with this guy.
You have to set the tone.
You don't like me? Fine. All right, good. I don't like you either.
He's a very competitive player, and I'm a very competitive player, and we go head to head, and we go for blood almost.
The vibe was nasty. It was ugly. It was we didn't like each other.
I'm the one that did all that. To tell you the truth, I just don't want to be hanging around him. I mean, that's my main competition.
And he couldn't escape the memory of losing to him in 1979.
Oh, it ate at him bad that he didn't win that national title.
Obviously, he's
against
not going to
Magic.
be cool with him.
That was something.
What?
It just
After that?
burned him.
It was one thing for them to be in the
33 and
79
0?
championship. Magic had the better team. Everybody agreed with that. Magic
on.
had the better game. Fine.
He's going for
now you
blood.
get to the pros. Larry has this incredible year.
Oh, that's my favorite play. Everybody knows that.
There he is. Walking in a
Crossover
club,
off 1 foot.
while Magic Johnson wins a
You're
championship,
off the
and he's thinking,
backboard. It's my favorite play from Bird.
all right,
for
I'm
sure.
behind 2-0 now.
I watched that game and I couldn't believe it. I always wanted to play at that level.
But what Bird couldn't possibly have known was that he had inspired Magic's performance when he was named Rookie of the Year earlier that same day.
The PR person from the Lakers says, hey, Irvin, the Rookie of the Year voting has come out. And Magic says, okay, well, who won? He said, well, Larry Bird won. And Magic says, well, was it close? And he said, oh, no.
Wow.
He went out that day, yes, to try to win the NBA championship, but also to prove it to one Larry Bird. You know what? I should have been Rookie of the Year.
Even though I won the championship, I still wanted to win Rookie of the Year too.
Yeah, of course.
He won that championship. I was pissed.
Larry Bird got his get
But
back.
even after he had
then
won
again,
one the
Magic
next
Johnson
year,
won a championship.
his obsession only grew deeper.
The competition grew.
I'd get up in the mornings and see what he did.
good for the game, though.
Games came on late.
Good for the
and you
great
look
for
at
the game.
box score. I had
Greatest
to have him
rivalry of
there
all
for some
time.
reason. It's like a crutch. Somebody I can compare myself to.
I hated what was being said that Larry was better than me, and I'm just a guy who can control the game. My first 4 or 5 years, that bothered me a lot. I didn't tell nobody it bothered me, but it did.
Of course.
Their competitive dislike emerged from a greater truth, that on the court, they were doppelgangers. Team-oriented stars who cared about winning above all else.
Very similar.
Basketball savants who fused the substance of the 60s with the style of the 70s to create a new and exciting yet selfless way to play the game in the 1980s.
Yeah, I'm going to pass. But I'm going to pass in a way to make you look like a jackass. They were so similar in the way they competed.
Yeah.
I mean, they were two halves of the same brain.
Same craziness to excel.
I seen that first couple days I was with him.
Basketball IQ off the chart.
Seen the game a little different, most players.
Playing the game the right way was everything.
A lot of guys can just score. A lot of guys can just rebound. A lot of guys can just make plays. We can do it all.
Larry and Magic could control the game with 12 shots. It was amazing. They'd be 7 for 12. They'd have 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists. And you go, man, the guy shot the ball 12 times and was the best player on the court by far.
But I think it was tough at first. I don't think either one of them wanted to recognize that they had any equal anywhere in what they did. But they sure as hell didn't want to recognize that their equal happened to be that other guy.
That's why we hated each other too, because we knew we were mirrors of each other.
I think for a while the two of them had to come to grips with that.
They had begun changing the game, but with continued low television ratings and tape-delayed finals, the league was struggling to get the word out. When the NBA and CBS signed a new TV deal for the
finals
82-83 season,
that is
the rescue
nasty
plan was
work.
simple.
Oh my God.
Sell more Bird and Magic.
You
and
have
sell
to.
them not just as ball players, but as arch-rival characters in their own dramatic saga.
That was a no-brainer.
You got this slick Showtime African-American guy out west, and you got the lunch bucket, floppy-haired white guy with the bruises all over his body. It's central casting. It's perfect.
I mean, this was like made in heaven. In 1979, this idea of Magic and Bird was created, and so that was sort of a no-brainer. We'd have a doubleheader. It would be the Celtics playing first and the Lakers playing second, and that's the way we did it.
And when the Celtics and Lakers both reached the finals just a year into the new TV deal in 1984, it appeared the superstar investment was about to pay off.
It was huge. It was probably the biggest moment the NBA had up to that point. You had Boston and LA, East against West. It had all the elements of a classic showdown.
Including what was becoming the most inescapable element of all.
Did we know that the blacks and whites were lining up, the whites with the Celtics, the blacks with... Of course we knew that.
Even in the Celtics' own backyard.
They land at Logan Airport at the 84 finals. He's getting accosted by various people who are telling him Larry's going to take him down. But this one older African-American gentleman comes up to me and goes, Magic, I want to wish you well. Good luck. I want you to crush the Celtics.
All right. So I did say I'm gonna do 2 parts. I really hope you guys don't kill me for this, but you guys gonna have to see the rest of that in the second part. My camera's about to die. Yeah, but this is a great video. Like, honestly, nostalgic. I watched this documentary before. This is definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite documentary. Probably right beside the Dream Team documentary. Yeah, I remember watching this. I remember watching this like on NBA TV, Canada, and just watching the whole Bird and Magic adjusting to LA. It was just so fascinating seeing the rivalry. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for the premiere for the next video, part 2. I'm probably gonna react to the rest of the video. That's probably gonna be a good 50 minutes to probably an hour. But this one was probably the same, probably another 50 minutes. So yeah, I'm about to say a quick prayer. In the name of Jesus, I pray, bless everybody that's watching this video in the name of Jesus. I pray anything that's going on in their life, allow them to have a positive mindset and be strong in their mind. As you know, I'm going through a lot with my life and it's hard for me to be positive, but I pray that I could be positive enough for me to show my light, and I pray that the subscribers and the people that are watching this could do the same. No matter what trials and tribulations, God puts you through hardships for a reason, because he knows you can handle it. He knows you can get through. So stay blessed, stay lit, and I'm out.
Stay tuned for your daily devotion.
Everything else in this life, even your beloved family members and loved ones, must be a distant second to me. That's the goal of discipleship. That's our aim. That's lofty. You say that's unattainable. It's impossible. Jesus, why do you got to raise the bar so high? That's why, to remind us that humanly speaking, none of us could ever do it. And that by the grace of God, we don't have to worry about doing it, because he says, I'm about to do that for you. And if you come to me in faith, you get my perfect life, my perfect obedience, my perfect love to God the Father and to all people, and you get my substitutionary death on the cross for sin. And I will guarantee that by my resurrection from the dead.
What's up, YouTube? It's Tired Night, Tune Ties Life. I'm about to be reacting to the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson documentary. Courtship, the Courtship documentary. So yeah, I reacted to the first half. We're gonna react to the second half. Yeah, let's get into it. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm trying to get to 10K. I'm at 3,000 and close to 3,500. I'm about to get to 4,000 soon. Let's get to 10K. Yeah, channel got monetized, trying to make some money off these videos, make this a full-time thing, and actually get some money off of this. And yeah, make this a career. But yeah, if you guys like the video, if you guys like my channel, hit me with the subscribe if you haven't. Turn on post notifications, and yeah, turn on the bell for the post notifications, and hit me a super thanks if you want to, and support the channel. About to get into the video. Let's get it.
Where are you from? He said, well, I'm from Boston. They said, you're from Boston and you're rooting for the Lakers? I thought everybody here was crazy about the Celtics. And he looked right at me and said, now why would I root for those white boys?
Boston, after all, was a town still scarred by the ugly busing crisis of the mid-70s.
Crazy how that was like race.
A violent period of urban unrest during which
then.
white had been pitted against black. The resulting taint on the city nationally, coupled with a Boston roster littered with white players, affirmed to many black Americans that the Celtics were not the team for them.
Even today, people said, you played with the Celtics, and you know, I hated you at that time. You know, I wanted Magic to win.
Maxwell.
I didn't want that damn Larry Bird to win. We had all these black players.
Biracial.
But they looked at us because we had Larry Bird leading us as a team that was white.
They got some black players.
They were perfect archetypes for what was becoming the biggest story in sports.
Some prominent black players, too.
But for the real-life players, the narrative was much simpler.
It's finally going to happen. We get to go head-to-head again. It's just a matter of rolling that ball out there and let's get it on.
Yep.
Welcome then to the Boston Garden and the start of the
go.
NBA World Championship Series. I'm Brian Musburger. In each of the last 4 NBA World Championship Series, either Magic or Bird has competed. But this is the first time that the two have gone head-to-head for the title.
Man, we jumped out on them that first game, and we won in Boston.
And with less than a minute to go in Game 2, the Lakers were closing in on a commanding series lead.
From that point on, things began to crumble.
Down to 9 seconds. Magic holding the ball. Magic trying to work on Maxwell. Magic has still got it down to 2 seconds. 1 second. He's going to have to shoot it. He doesn't get it off. He doesn't get it off.
Cheesy Johnson dribbling the timeout. What are you doing?
Yeah, what was that?
The Lakers regained their stride in Game 3, only to be rudely knocked off it again in Game 4.
Crazy. I didn't see that play.
And the Celtics, and now the
What was McHale on, bro? What was McHale
Kurt
on?
Bramish got taken out.
That was crazy. Man, wow, he went straight
He
for his
started
neck.
fighting instead of playing.
Literally.
swings the elbow, and now is yelling at
He
Larry
was about to throw
Bird.
the ball at him, too.
Jaw to jaw.
And it made us realize we were not mentally tougher than the Celtics.
Yeah.
Magic's just not himself.
To be sure they won't let the time run out as they did in game 2.
What are doing?
Harris steals the ball, and the Celtics call a timeout.
There are a number of places where, Irvin didn't do what people expected him to do.
Tied at 123.
Come on, Irvin.
He misses the first. Johnson misses the
Irvin
post.
shot, though,
Celtics want a timeout. Despondent Magic Johnson goes to the bench. Bird turns around, hits.
Hey, Irvin shots. Like, who taught Irvin how to shoot, though?
Game
Like,
5 went to the Celtics. Game
I
6
feel
to the Lakers.
He was, he didn't
It was like
even need to have,
1979
an
all
actual
over
shot.
again. Down to one game for
effective.
Bird and Magic.
If everybody had to look at it, probably would have said this is a 7-game series.
No, I thought we'd sweep them in 4, but just went a little bit longer. Now we just have to do it in 7.
That's the only time I ever felt that. There ain't no way they're walking out here with a win.
Magic Johnson.
No way.
Magic Johnson.
Lakers had several chances, and here's Bird shoving down the cross. Bird. Johnson with the ball. The Lakers trying to cut it to 1. The Boston Celtics are the NBA World Champions.
Damn, so Magic wasn't really himself in that series.
I pride myself in being the guy who's going to win it for us.
He was a great player, but
and deliver.
I feel like if he really if he had a better jump shot,
and it didn't happen.
I hope he was hurt. Hope it killed him.
Would have been
He
scary.
made some
for
bad plays
everybody
down the
else.
stretch.
I mean,
Nobody in there was
him,
happier than
Magic
me.
Johnson as a backup player.
Not only
definitely
winning the
a scary
game makes you
sight.
feel good, but just knowing the other guy
Especially how
suffering,
he
you know he
affects the game
was.
without even scoring
I remember after the
sometimes.
game that both
He
he and
will get a
I
bucket, though.
were in the showers crying and stayed in there for about 35, 40 minutes. The Boston Celtics, he had lost to his nemesis, Larry Bird.
I think he just made me dislike him more, because he was that good. And I think you be jealous. You jealous a little bit.
Larry, does this get you even with Magic for what happened between Michigan State and Indiana State all those many years ago?
We're professionals now, but I won this one for Terre Haute.
Well, it was a big deal. And I remember asking Quinn Buckner about it afterwards. They had a celebration in downtown Boston after they won the championship. And, it was unusual for Larry to have these little outbursts, as Quinn would call them.
This is at a higher level.
About 11:30 at
championship.
night, finally he turned to Quinn.
NCAA championship is definitely...
I finally got him. And he was talking about
one
Magic.
One of the biggest championships. But NBA is that's definitely a get back for sure.
The league was rejoicing too. Game 7 of the '84 series was one of CBS's highest-rated telecasts of the year, and the highest-rated game the NBA had ever produced.
They
all
changed
of a
the
sudden,
game, man. They saved
whether
the
it was at
NBA.
CBS or Madison Avenue,
Everybody
sports
knows
writers around the country became phenomena. What is happening here? The absolute foundation in this resurgence was the Celtics and the Lakers, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
But Magic was in no mood to bask in the accomplishment.
I took a media beating. Tragic Magic. This is why we say Larry Bird is better. It's probably the first time ever in my life I was depressed. And I didn't want people to see me. It was something I never dealt with in my life.
That particular series, that championship series, redefined his whole career because he never stopped working after that.
Magic was on a mission to prove to himself and the world that with the ball in his hands, he was still the one in control. And after his Lakers ran through the '85 season, he quickly got what he wanted. Another shot at Bird and the Celtics.
They won the East, we won the West. So it's like everybody just get ready, sit back, and let's enjoy it.
But that smile belied the intensity of the clash that awaited.
If I had a glass of water and any of those guys had been on fire, I would have drank the water and watched them.
They called us, chokers and sissies.
Okay.
We didn't like that, and they thought less of us. I knew they did.
In '85, we played them 4 times in exhibition season for some
Larry
reason.
Bird,
I don't know why they scheduled that. By the
He'd be
4th
doing
game,
little
there was an
things.
all-out brawl.
They call this one of the greatest rivalries in all of sport, the Celtics and the Lakers. And if that is true, it is the most one-sided rivalry in all of sports. 8 times these two have met for the NBA championship, and 8 times the Celtics have won.
At guard, in his 6th year from Michigan State, at number 32, Magic Johnson.
But in the '85 finals, Magic changed the script. Over 16 games, he masterfully controlled the pace with all-around brilliance.
He has a triple-double again.
That's why Magic was so good. Because
Behind their point
IQ
guard,
was
the Lakers
off the
finally
charts.
knocked out the Celtics,
Off the
winning the
charts.
clinching game in the Boston Garden.
3 in 6 years. LA comes to Boston and wins the world
1-1.
title.
As far as NBA goes, they're
Redemption
even.
for one Magic Johnson. It's a long year last year to wait for this moment right now.
To wait for that moment.
Magic had evened the score with Bird on the NBA floor. But the significance of their rivalry and their relationship was still just taking hold.
You crazy. I said, you're crazy. I'm not shooting no commercial with Larry. So I said, okay, what, we're gonna shoot it in LA?
I would never went to LA to film it.
Well, where are we gonna shoot it?
This is the part I reacted to.
You want to shoot a commercial? Come to my house.
I was like, oh no. One stoplight. I thought Lansing was small. I think the plan was, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm trying to get up out of here. My plan was that.
Even after Converse had convinced Magic and Bird to film a sneaker ad together in the summer of '85, a question remained. How would the two hated rivals on the court get along off of it?
I don't know how he's going to react. I don't know how I'm going to react. We didn't even shake hands, so how are we going to do a commercial together?
The ad was to be filmed at the home Bird had built for his mom. It featured a full-length basketball court, the day's first location.
So they say, okay, you're playing one-on-one, and I'm looking at Larry, and he's looking at me like, is this real? Are we playing? Because, this is Magic and Bird.
I could just hear Larry, starting in on
well, you bring it to the basket, and I'm going to send it 30 rows up.
So the guy was like, no, not like that. A fun game. We were both like, oh, okay. Like, like you can see this relief coming over both of our faces.
That brief détente led to the next stage, dialogue.
We sat down next to each other. How was your summer? Oh, it's going good. How was yours? It's going great. He said, man, it's a nice spread. You got it.
And he's asked me, is this where you play? I said, yeah, I play here if it's not windy. If it's raining or windy, I go to the gym. But this is where I do all my work.
I see that tractor. You work on the tractor? He said, man, I work on this tractor every day. Larry Bird work on a tractor? He said, yeah.
It's just them two walking and talking, and every once in a while they'd stop and one of them would say something, and then they'd start laughing.
Then they said, okay, break, it's lunch break time. I was going to my trailer. He said, no, my mother has prepared lunch for us up at the house.
We went up to the house and we sat down there and we talked, and my mom, my brothers thought the world of him.
His mother was so nice, making sure I had enough to eat. I just saw my mother. It was crazy.
He charmed her. I mean, you can see it. But that's magic. He makes everybody feel welcome and warm, and he's a con man.
And while magic charmed Georgia Bird, it was someone else who intrigued her son.
The con man is crazy.
He met Irvin at lunch.
Irvin is a good dude. I like Irvin a lot better than Magic.
I was just so happy to finally be Irvin with him.
It's insane.
Because Magic was like, I don't know if I want to get to know this guy. But Irvin got a chance to talk about family.
Magic is coming through pretty
I grew up. We just became two relaxed guys, just talking.
That day was great. It was a great day. Beautiful day.
Still, for Bird, ever the competitor, that's all it was. Just one day.
Magic thinks the next year, okay, well, now we're great friends. So, after the game, we're going to go out, we're going to have a beer. And Larry's like, no, you're right. I know you better. You're a good guy, but I still don't want anything to do with you.
He's a happy-go-lucky guy. If me and him got to be really good friends, go out on the court, he could still play the same game. I couldn't. I mean, that's just the way it is.
But when the ad hit the airwaves, for others, the perception changed.
I saw you guys were alive around this time.
And
I know how y'all felt when you all saw this.
They didn't sell themselves out.
Commercial. What was your thoughts?
Made a pair of bird shoes
like
for last year's MVP. Yep. But they made a pair of Magic shoes
like
for this year's MVP.
Hey, Magic, show me what you got.
It was like a big thing
this
back
is really
in the
a
day.
business thing.
I would assume so.
Bird shoe, the Magic shoe.
And maybe
Does
that's where
anybody
the business
have these
thing
shoes?
started to get bigger and began to trump who they both really were.
It polarized the whole idea of lunch bucket versus Hollywood, white versus black. Just cemented all the differences between them.
Kids weren't wearing black. You want to be associated with the Larry Bird camp. You wore your white Converse.
The basketball rivals had morphed into cultural warriors, and race, more than ever, an unavoidable part of the conversation. But nothing about Bird and Magic had ever been as simple as black and white.
One of the big reasons this rivalry became so emblematic of so many things is because it was an easy dichotomy for people to understand. But it's crazy to simplify it as saying white people like Bird and black people like Magic because 13% of the country is black. But it wasn't like 87% of basketball fans preferred the Celtics.
Who's your favorite basketball player? Magic Johnson. Who's your favorite movie star? Eddie Murphy. Pina, all you ever talk about is nigga this and nigga that. And all your favorite people are so-called niggas. It's different. Magic, Eddie, Prince are not niggas. I mean, they're not black. I mean, let me explain myself.
Has the N-word ever been used by a white person to describe Irvin? I doubt it.
But as Magic enjoyed his image as a crossover star, it was Bird, the one-time great white hope, who had further emerged as the polarizing racial figure, due in part to that era's increasingly conservative political climate.
The rolling back institutionally of the achievements of the civil rights movement were going on apace from about 1975 on. But the triumph of the movement that rolled it back took place in the 1980s. And I think there was people who were very aware in the black community of what was going on. And I think there was a lot of sublimated frustration. And I think one of the ways it got sublimated was into basketball. And I think Larry, through no fault of his own, was the receptacle within which the lingering resentments somehow floated.
And after Bird led the Celtics to the championship in 1986, his third in the pros, winning his third straight MVP award in the process,
third
the
straight
resentment grew.
Crazy.
I always felt that the press was biased in favor of Larry Bird. It always felt to me like they were going to make Larry the hero.
That's crazy.
You know, you'd see somebody score, and Larry would be in a cast in a suit on the bench, and they'd say, Larry Bird made that possible.
There's no way.
A couple weeks ago when he told that guy he could do it.
You know what I'm saying?
And he just did it.
But Bird is Bird.
They gonna get his motherfucking assistant. He not in the game.
Not to be racist, but we have a white guy who's the best in the world. It's predominantly a black sport now. And you got a guy like Larry Bird who can't run, who can't jump, but can do everything out there.
That don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean anything to me. It never has. I don't know why. I mean, am I doing something wrong here?
Bird may have sought to avoid the conversation entirely, but the more he won, the less he could escape.
Now there's a steal by Bird.
Hey, DJ. Lay him.
In 1987, after Boston beat the Detroit Pistons to advance to the finals for the fourth straight year, Pistons rookie Dennis Rodman called Bird overrated because he was white. His teammate Isaiah Thomas then chimed in with some thoughts of his own.
I think Larry is a very, very good basketball player. I think he's an exceptional talent. But I'd have to agree with Rodman. If he was black, he'd be just another good guy.
I can remember in the locker room, I think it was Jack McMullen came up to me and said, Isaiah just said, boom, 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 boom. And I go, so?
He didn't care. He didn't care. Everybody else around him cared very deeply in the days and weeks
His opinion,
that turned out ahead.
Is what it is. It might push Larry Bird more because he's white, but it doesn't really matter because he's that good.
But it didn't matter to me what Isaiah
he's that
or
good.
Dennis Rodman said.
He's that good.
And it still don't.
It doesn't matter how much they push.
There's no bearing what I do.
He's still the best in the world.
He doesn't see race. He really doesn't.
Either way,
and he could have.
You spin it like the man.
This guy
the best
grew
in the
up
world.
Poor,
either him or Magic.
White,
come on,
in southern Indiana.
It's like Jokic
Southern
right
Indiana, the home, by the way, of the modern Ku Klux
I don't
Klan.
believe Jokic
How
is
he
the best
managed
in the world,
not to be affected
debatable.
by the cultural milieu that he grew up in
because
is, I
he's
think, a miracle. To me, it's inexplicable.
When I was in about 6th or 7th grade, I couldn't wait till school to be over because I knew over on the courts, the waiters from the hotel would be over there. They were black, older, and they let me play. You know, I always looked at that as I got an opportunity to play against a black man, and they treated me good. I couldn't wait to play against the best, and at that time, they were the best.
And in 1987, as Bird vied with Magic to be the best, the flap over Isaiah Thomas's racially fueled remarks forced Bird to address his least favorite topic at the worst possible time.
I had to go to a press conference when we was in L.A. trying to get ready to play the Lakers and tell people I didn't care. This don't bother me.
The main thing is if the statements or whatever was said doesn't bother me, I don't think it should bother any of us.
From playing all year trying to get back to the finals and play against Magic, this was a distraction.
Bird was facing off against Magic for the third time in 4 years. And if their relationship had softened, the determination to beat each other had not. As Game 4 proved, the level of competition between them was higher than ever.
Bird played awesome down the stretch of that game.
Trailing 2-1 in the series, the Celtics were down by 1 point in the final minute of the game. But Larry Bird wouldn't be easily vanquished.
Open his aim. Bird goes for three.
Oh my God. Sniper. Behind his head. Sniper. Like
With 7
slingshot.
seconds left, though, the Lakers still had life. 3 years earlier in the '84 finals, Magic had flubbed a similar situation. But this was a different Magic, one with a whole new bag of tricks.
My man switched to Kareem, and Kevin McHale jumped out to me. As soon as I saw Kevin, I said, oh, I'm taking him.
You know, Magic puts it on the floor, a couple head and shoulder fakes.
Oh,
he raised up in the air.
Yep.
And there was nobody that was going to get that shot.
Tough. That is so tough. That is so tough.
I remember after they called timeout thinking, there's still a shot here. Celtics may still win this game.
Well, they set up a great play. Bird walked Worthy all the way up, forced the denial all the way up.
We've done it before. Clear everybody out, go to the ball, and break the corner.
He caught it here.
He misses it.
And as he caught it, all he had to do was turn. He just turned, and he just let this thing go.
Bird fires it.
He missed it.
Got a wide open look. Couldn't believe it.
Wide open.
And I'm standing right there. It is straight as an arrow.
Dead on.
And the Lakers have won.
That's like that Vince Carter shot,
right
man. Oh my gosh. I know that
He
would
looked
hurt.
at me like, how did you ever leave me that wide open?
You gotta be kidding me. Changed the whole series.
The Lakers won the series in 6. And in the aftermath of a year in which Magic had won his first MVP, the rivalry suddenly took on a new tone.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
I was shocked that he said it because I thought to myself, maybe this is the beginning of a new era that's not going to include him. It was the passing of the torch a little bit.
Really?
After vanquishing Bird in 87,
So it was really like it was
Magic
Bird at
wasn't
first.
done winning.
Bird was
The
man
following
at
year,
first,
he
and
squared
then
off in the
Magic
finals against his good
turned
friend
it around,
Isaiah Thomas
then
and the
They
Pistons,
went back and forth type of thing. That's where the rivalry
beating them
like,
to
stayed.
become the NBA's first repeat champions in 2 decades.
So it lost to them.
By the dawn of the
Detroit
90s,
Pistons?
he'd won 5 titles, played in 8 finals, and equaled Bird's MVP tally of 3.
Okay.
But the more Magic won, the less Irvin seemed to be around to reap the spoils.
Once I tasted the champagne and the championship, I wanted more of that.
3-3.
And more of
They're
that.
equal right now.
So Magic kept growing because we were successful. And the persona and all of that came with
Carried
it.
away. Yep. Got him carried away.
The Prince of LA was now the king. And in Hollywood, being royalty had its perks.
What was Irvin Johnson's vice? Now, you know my publicist wants me to say winning. But women loved Irvin.
Back then, before voicemail, they used to have these mail slots in the hotels where you leave your key. And when we get into a town, Irvin's mail slot would be so packed, and it would be just Susan and a phone number, Linda and a phone number, Joyce and a phone number. I mean, that was every city, every time.
Yeah.
I was
Magic
on top
had
of
to
my
chill,
game
man. He
as
was-
Magic. So I needed all that around me at that
He was
time.
reckless.
Women, this, the that, Hollywood.
From the outside looking in.
Magic was living in a context of sybaritic excess from the minute he walked in the door, and he developed a sweet tooth for it.
Sex with several women at the same time.
Yeah. Like I said, women have different fantasies. Some want to be with 2 or 3 at a time. You know, one time I had 6 at one time. That's just...
I really do believe he looks upon Magic Johnson as a movie character he played. I think Irvin got overwhelmed in LA by what it meant to be a star.
That's probably true that the Magic ego swallowed Irvin a little bit, but that's okay because I couldn't win 5 championships without that.
Through all of this haze of women and money and fame and fortune, he still kept basketball
So
at
he
number
got
1. He never
5
seemed to
and
lose
Bird
that
got
focus.
3?
Larry had 2 jobs his last 7 years of playing. It was playing basketball, and then it was him being committed to taking care of his back.
He had first heard it in 1985, building the
Ain't that the
driveway
truth?
at his mom's house back in
Ain't
French
that
Lick.
the
truth?
Larry decides to do it himself. This is Larry Bird, the superstar, out there breaking his back, literally shoveling gravel. And that was the beginning of a process.
I would see him on TV laying down And then they told me that he had to lay down on planes, different things like that. And I was like, wow.
As Magic soared through the prime of his career, Bird was breaking down. His deteriorating back and punishing style of play proving an excruciating mix.
From
Bird was
88
dominating at
to
first,
92,
and
it was painful to watch. It was painful
Magic
to
won
cover.
that
Larry is
championship.
quite ornery when he's not feeling well, which means he was ornery
then
for those
Bird
next
had
4
back
years.
problems.
He could manage the pain in a way that very few people
And that
can
was
do.
like the tail
There'd
end
be
of his
days he
career.
could come in the office and he couldn't stand up straight.
But even
If he didn't
after
have those
two
back
ruptured
problems-
Achilles tendons and surgery on his back in 1991, Bird kept
He would
going to
have way
work.
more accomplishments.
Product of a lesson learned
But-
many years before, seeing the swollen
Still
ankle of a
did what he
man
did. Like,
long
still
since.
had
Well, we don't know if it broke or not, but it looked broke to
top
me.
5 of all time.
Had to go to work and he had to get his boot on, and it
Back
took
injuries.
everything I had to help him get that boot on his foot. Then he stood up limping, and he says, well, I'll see you this weekend, because he was working construction at the time. And I was pretty amazed how he could fight. Come home on the weekend, and it was black and swollen. Going to go again. If you get paid to go to work, you got to go to work.
It was a situation that he was seeing almost daily. He had lost the structural stability in his spine, so it would slip into abnormal
Someone should have told him to
positions try
chill
and
on the
lock
tractor
itself to
and
get an artificial
shoveling
stability.
gravel.
That's
He
like getting your fingers
probably
stuck in
would have
a
had
door,
more championships.
and somebody's still pushing on the door.
And he
So what
wouldn't
we
be
had
in
to
so
do
much
was
pain.
unlock his spine,
Forget
realign
the
it,
accomplishments.
do
He would've been
techniques
healthy.
that would hold that for 4 hours, 6 hours, that
It's
type
like
of thing, and then
this-
he'd go play basketball.
It's a tough thing you have to deal with in the tail in your career. Like, that's kind of a bad way to go out.
Every time I would
But
play, I was
he's
wondering if
still
I was
Larry.
going to be in a wheelchair. Was I ever going to be able to,
Still had a great career. Top
walk on the
5
beach
career
or hold my kids?
of all time. So
His pain and his quest for basketball became all-encompassing. Very few people really knew what Larry was living with, because this was Larry's issue, and there was no sharing of his pain.
You know, I probably should have retired in 88, 89. But it's that competition. Maybe one more chance, me and Magic get together in the finals. But it never happened.
I'm sleeping, really, laying down, just waiting on the game, and phone rings, and the voice says, "Hey, you gotta come back to LA." And I said, "Okay, why?" "Well, I can't tell you until you get to LA." So I said, "Okay."
2 hours later, he was in the office of Lakers team physician Michael Melman.
Dr. Melman starts to tell me that, through the physical that I took, that they discovered that I had HIV.
Whew. That's tough, man. That's
First
so
time
tough.
ever in my life. I'm
tough.
such a control freak, right? Do things the right way. I'm out of control.
Yep. So saying he's reckless.
Oh, it was everything. How is it possible? What happened? How did it happen to me? And my mind is racing, and then you're just devastated.
Yeah.
Further complicating things, Magic had gotten married just 2 months earlier, and he feared the worst for his new bride, Cookie, who was pregnant with their first child.
I don't know what's going to happen with my wife and my baby. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't have control of the situation, and I was lost just for that next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, because he just found out.
And after Magic
getting
learned
married.
neither his wife nor his
Crazy.
unborn child were infected, he began revealing the news to his inner circle.
The phone rang, and it was Magic's agent, Lon Rosen. And he said, "Irvin's looking for you, call him." And I said, "I'll call him when I get to Paramount." And he says, "Call him now." I said, "Lon, I'll call him when I get to Paramount. I'll be there in 20 minutes. And he said, You got to call him now. Irvin's HIV positive.
That's crazy, man. Hearing that on the phone.
I remember
God.
I was sitting on the bed. I remember standing up at that point. And I said, how is that possible?
People keep on saying, how is that possible?
I'm thinking Irvin's going to get skinny and die. I mean, literally, that's what I thought. Irvin's going to get skinny and
getting
die.
around a lot. Like, it's very possible.
The first person I thought of was Larry.
Oh.
I wonder what Larry
the
thinks.
Education on sexual health was totally different back then.
The day that I heard about Magic, it just sort of changed my love for basketball. It shook me up. You know, you get that feeling, probably the same type of feeling I had when my father died.
He wants to understand why, you know, how can I talk to him? How, I need to speak to him. It was just really important for Larry to talk to him.
You know, it's sort of, I don't know. I wanted to hear it from him. Probably didn't believe it.
Calls me and we're talking. You know, it's just, how you doing? I heard about it, and you can almost hear both of us with some tears in our eyes, and I'm choked up because he did call me, and you know,
that probably meant a lot that he actually
when something happens. To you. And then you find out who really your friends are.
Yeah, who really cares. Yeah.
And people who really care about you.
Mm-hmm.
You figure all those battles, all those things we had to go through as warriors, as competitors, and as men. And here this man says, hey, you know what, man, you're okay. And so that was the greatest moment for me too, you know, to have him check on me and to make sure I was okay. First of all, let me say good late afternoon. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today.
It's the only press conference I've ever been in where I've seen reporters cry. I mean, we thought this guy was in total denial.
I plan on going on living for a long time, bugging you guys like I've always have.
We thought this smile was going to be wiped off his face forever, and he was going to die, but we're going to watch him die in public.
I just remember in the room, he was joking, and I'm sitting there looking at him crying, and he's like, Coop, man, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
I am going to go on, I'm going to beat it, and I'm going to have fun.
Sure, come on. You're going to beat this? And to him, it was a contest. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, AIDS and Magic Johnson, it's same thing. It's just a different game, different rules, but I'm still going to win.
He wasn't planning on going nowhere. Irvin was planning that day to find the right medicine, to eat right, get rest, and live forever.
What?
That's what he was planning.
Thank you again, and I'll see you soon.
But as Magic put up a positive public face, his nemesis, still out of sorts, shed the mask he had hidden behind for years.
He was visibly like, wow, how could that happen? You know, it really set him back.
Probably the two toughest days I've had since my father passed away, and I've been very depressed and sort of been out of it.
I listened to him talk in this press conference about how devastated he was, and I remember thinking to myself, you know, goddamn, Larry found Irvin.
You know, just out of the blue, something like that happening. It's just, I've never had, other than one other instance, and I was hoping I'd never see that again, because I remember how I felt weeks after that. And yesterday was just a sad day.
And at his game that night, Bird was forced to confront pain he couldn't so easily play through.
Didn't want to be there that night. First time ever. And really last.
His competition is not
I remember we played in Atlanta.
That's his motivation.
Had no feel for the game, you know. This wasn't
all the
a
way
good time
from
to be out
college,
there.
all the
Never had
high
a-
school.
That night he threw a pass.
Okay.
I'll never
Right.
forget. He threw a
High school all the
half-court
way up
pass
to
behind his
college.
back for a layup. And if you blurred your eyes, you squinted your eyes, it looked like magic. And that was Larry saying goodbye.
You know, I mean, this competition thing is amazing. What it does to you. What you put your body through and what you do and what you say and how you feel. And knowing that he's not there wouldn't feel right. But I think it's all them years that, you know, what's he doing? What if he's practicing this hard? I bet he shot 500 shots a day and I didn't get 500 in. It's always that mind games.
Bird played through the 91-92 season, his last in the NBA. But a part of him was already gone.
I didn't check the papers anymore. You know, it didn't matter. I still wanted to compete, you know, but it wasn't the same. It really wasn't.
With the exception of that year when he was called Tragic Johnson, because on the basketball court, things didn't shake down properly, this is the first time I'm hearing ignorance, hatred, vicious, nasty things.
Yeah.
There was some of my former teammates who had their own little things that they were talking about and why this happened to me.
You know anybody else that's heterosexual that got it? Come on, man. You're in denial. I've been called gay, faggot, Irvin's lover. I've been called all that shit.
Lon Rosen got a call from Isaiah Thomas asking, you know, I keep hearing Magic's gay.
Education
And I
on
said, well,
sexual
for crying
health
out
back
loud,
then
you know
was-
better than
was
anybody. He isn't. You're
garbage.
one of his best friends. And he said, well,
what?
We don't know what's going on in Hollywood. And the fact that Isaiah
that-
was questioning why he got this,
Holy
I think
way.
it was really, really hurtful.
Getting gay. That's crazy.
He used to say, you know, I don't want people to stop shaking my hand and giving me my hugs. He loves to be loved. And that's what bothered him the most, that people would change in relationship to him.
Yeah. That's how
He
you
would show
separate
up at
the
the
real
Lakers
from the
facility to work out and to shoot some baskets, and he'd try to engage his teammates and say, hey, you want to play a little one-on-one before practice? And, oh, geez, no, I can't. I got to go get taped. Or, oh, geez, I got work to do. I got to do something else.
The worst thing of all of this, that I couldn't play basketball. I don't even think dealing with HIV. It was I couldn't play.
The game, the surroundings was his whole world. That's his personality. When you take that away, you know, you're hurting. I knew he was hurting in a big way.
The only sex is safe sex, and that's no sex.
As basketball went on without him, Magic performed ably in his new role as HIV educator and spokesman.
I'm helping every way that I can.
But he still pined for the arena, which had made him a star. So when he was invited to play in the 1992 NBA All-Star Game, he jumped at the chance, promptly stealing the show and winning MVP honors. But that was just a warm-up. For the encore, Magic had up his sleeve.
He's not done yet because we're going to go to Barcelona and bring back the gold for everyone here in the United States.
Thanks, Larry. For the first time ever, NBA players would be competing in the Olympics. And Magic, armed with a message, was not about to miss the show.
It would have proved to people that you were not going to get the disease playing against me. And then also for me too, personally. You know, it was therapy. It was a way to say, man, yeah, you get to do this one more time.
There was also one other perk.
I think playing with Larry was very important. That's something they talked about. I mean, he was going to be on the dream team. He was going to be with Michael. He was going to be with Barkley. But he was going to play with Larry.
Magic kept saying to him, I just want to get you out on that court one more time. Let's just have one more sequence like we had all the way back in 1978. But it was interesting that with Magic being the one that was HIV positive, he felt great. He was in the best shape of his life. He had worked so hard to make sure he didn't go there as a token player, and here was Larry, who couldn't even practice, who could barely move.
But you know what? Didn't matter. We were still together. You know.
Whether you're into game nights, karaoke night, trivia teams, or pickleball teams, groups that play together, group play together. Sign up your team on olg.ca.
Didn't matter. And when he got his opportunity, he switched a few.
Good ball. Now who's taking the last shot with the game on the line?
When I got my opportunity, I still was Magic.
"14 years after they'd first crossed paths, the smiling kid from Lansing and the shy boy from French Lick were happily back together in Barcelona. But it took just one glance outside their hotel's front door each morning for them to see that as far as they had come, they were as far apart as ever.
The only way you walk up that door if you wanted attention. But I asked this guy, I know, how can you get around this? There's got to be a way. Lo and behold, there was a side door. You can go wherever you want. I was going to tell him about it, but seeing that smile on his face, the closer you got to that front door, come on. He didn't want no side door, you know Irvin. He'd go right in the middle of them.
Turn the long way, sweetheart. There you go. I'm going out the front because that's who I am. I don't go out the back. I don't go out the side.
But that's not me. If you want to go somewhere in a hurry, there's a door that leads you there, and I found it.
I respected him for that. And so, hell, I would try to find a side door for him. And we never tried to change each other. That's what made this relationship great.
One of my pet peeves always is when people say, oh, Michael Jordan saved the NBA. Bullshit. Bullshit. Magic and Larry saved the NBA. That's who saved the NBA. Magic and Larry.
Magic and Larry. Bird and Magic.
Honestly, yeah.
To the millions who
actually
once
facts.
watched them, now more than
So
ever, they are inseparable.
There's statistics for that.
A pair of athletes thrown together by the cosmos to compete.
Jordan just
A pair of men who discovered a bond in the midst of that competition. Decades removed from the height of their rivalry, their bond endures.
And just took it to a
Two
different level.
impossibly
Just a whole
different
nother
men
level,
with a
whole
connection
nother
only
stratosphere,
they can fully grasp.
They
It's
saved
almost
the
like a
NBA
private
for
little
sure.
club, and only the two of them are in it. And every once in a while, they need to show up to have a reunion and pay their dues to each other. But they don't need the day-to-day contact that most friends need. It's just not that kind of relationship.
But I always get this good feeling when I know I'm going to see him because he makes you feel good. You know, he really does. He's unbelievable.
He's very private, but if he's your friend, man, you got a friend for life. And Larry Bird is a straight shooter. He'll tell you when he don't like you. That's one thing I wish I could have from him. That he has that I don't have. I wish I had that.
I mean, he walked in here, this whole room would change, and maybe that's what I always wanted to be, but I just couldn't.
Alright, that's it for the documentary, man.
Like, comment, subscribe. That was man, this video was supposed to be like an hour, well, 47 minutes I recorded, but it's about to be close to like 50-something minutes an hour. Got through this reaction. Yeah, but it was a great video. Like, the last half was definitely a great video. It was more so like of a sad type of part
of the documentary, the whole Magic Johnson getting AIDS and contracting HIV. And then, yeah, just that whole situation. And then Larry's back issues. It was just kind of sad, but it's like, it's life. It's life. It is what it is. Like, it starts off well, and sometimes it ends, like in the career that they have, sometimes it ends in a bad way. Larry ended in his back injury being like one of the things where like it shortened his career. And then you have Magic, who was the HIV virus, where that shortened his career. But it's like, yeah, Larry lost the last time they played in the finals, in Magic, and then the back injuries got bad after that, and then it's just his career kind of diminished. But he did a lot, he did enough before then to be seen as a Hall of Famer, as a great, and even in people's top fives, and some people put him as the GOAT. So, yeah. And then Magic, the whole HIV thing is kind of tough that his career ended off like that. But all in all, when you look at it from the outside looking in, and from like a big scale of what they've done, the accomplishments, their impact, their career, and everything they did was a success. And they built a relationship and a beautiful friendship, courtship, pun intended, courtship, well, I said pun intended. Yeah, they developed a courtship, a friendship that lives forever, and they gained a friendship through the process of playing basketball and trying to become the best basketball players they could possibly be, competing against each other, motivating each other, and yeah, that's just the beautiful thing about it. It's like no matter what the situation is, no matter what negative situations that come about in their career, it's like when you look at it from a positive mindset, not a pessimist mindset, like a mindset that's positive, you can see that what they gained is more than what they lost. You know what I'm saying? How God be talking about, like in the Bible, you lose something, you get 7 times back of what you lost. So it's like that's the same type of thing with Bird. They gained so much more. Magic's still alive right now and healthy. I'm pretty sure he beat the HIV virus. And Bird was coaching after that. Did a lot of things after his career, and we can watch his videos and his documentaries now and enjoy the career that he had. Same with Magic. So yeah, this was a great video. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm at 3,500 subscribers and around there. I'm trying to get to 10K. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Yeah, and then click on the notification bell so you can be notified when I post in my next post. Yeah, and stay blessed, stay lit. I'm about to say a prayer. In the name of Jesus, I pray whoever's watching this video, I pray protect their mind, body, and soul. Protect them as people. Protect their peace. Protect their tranquility. Allow no one to get into their space of being a peaceful person and a strong person. But then again, if a test does come, allow them to be strong in their body and strong in their mind, to not give in to temptation of being angry or even lustful temptations that are not of God, or even jealousy. Allow that not to eat them up or eat their soul up into going to a dark place. Allow them to lead themselves into the light, and through the gospel and through the Bible, reading the Bible and praying and asking you for forgiveness and asking for strength. Allow them to be strong in any situation, any trials and tribulations in the name of Jesus. We know that you allow us to struggle and go through hardships so we can build ourselves up to be the strongest people of God. So allow us to understand that. Don't say, why is this happening to me? Say, why is God putting me through this?
and what is the reason for it. If you're gonna question why am I going through this, look at a positive light, where it's like, okay, why am I going through this? Is it because I'm gonna grow and be stronger after this, or is it because like my life sucks? It's like that two different ways of seeing it. What's the better way of thinking? If I get through this, I can get through anything. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So it's like that type of mindset we gotta have, and I pray that everybody that's watching this will have that mindset.
Now stay tuned for your daily devotion.
And in your life, sometimes it takes a lot longer for it to come through than you planned on. And you can be free, but not by this Friday. And you can be healed from a broken heart, but not in the next hour. Not by the time I say amen. And so if the devil can't trick you into thinking it's never going to happen, he'll tell you it's going to happen so quickly that when it doesn't happen that quickly, you give up on it. So now he's got two tools. Discouragement. You're never going to change. It's never going to be. It'll never happen for you. If that doesn't work and you believe God, then he will use a delay to try to get you to believe that you were crazy to think that God could do that thing in your life.